baby. 3, 2, 1.
Hello guys, Tune here, back again. This week I thought I'd do a review of the Xbox One Elite controller. It's like a specialised controller. Microsoft says it's the most advanced controller in the world. It does have a lot of customization and stuff like that going on it. So I thought I picked myself up one, so I thought I'd do a little review on it and see what you think. So this is what it comes in. You get it in a box, but inside this box is this little man pouch type thing. I am doing this backwards, so it might be a bit awkward. You open up the man pouch and here's the actual controller, and then inside then you get a lot of the extras. So we'll pull these extras out just to show you what all this stuff does. There's a lot of extra little sticks you can get as well, little clip-on sticks and a little clip-on joypad. You also get a rather nice braided cable, quite a long braided cable, but we won't show you that because we'll put this box out of the way. Anyway guys, so this is the actual Elite controller. It's a very nice controller. It feels pretty much exactly like the original Xbox One controller, but feels a lot nicer. It's got that sort of, I don't know, rubberized sort of plastic sort of feel to it. They changed the buttons. They're no longer colored. They're just, you can see the outline of the A, B and the X and Y. This is the D-pad. It's aluminium. There's also, so I'll show you on top there, this is all aluminium. These buttons and the actual trigger buttons are all aluminium. Underneath as well, there's some extras. You have these little sliders by here which give you trigger stops. So if I put these sliders up, you can see the triggers go right down to the bottom, and if you put these little sliders down, the triggers only go down about halfway. This is very useful in first person shooters because it eliminates the time it takes to press the button down, so it gives you more of a dead stop. It doesn't do a huge amount of my play, to be honest, but it is quite a handy feature to have. It doesn't make its firing slightly quicker, I would say. Also, there's these buttons by here. What these actually do is you get these little paddles. So hopefully you can see this. These paddles pretty much just, they drop in. They're all magnetized as well. So actually, but do it on the right side. They sort of drop into place like that and clip. And then you can do the same on that one, and they do feel really nice. The way they lock in is very nice indeed. They're all sort of like nicely magnetized. That one is actually the wrong side. It goes up like that, right? So they're all magnetized, so they very easily come out and very easily just drop in. So just for the elevator, we'll drop the other one in as well. Here we go. Let's get them all set up. So pretty much you end up with these paddles on the inside. What that does is when you're using the joypad and pressing fire, you can use your fingers. I don't know if I can show you this. You can use your fingers and you can click these buttons. What these buttons actually represent is pretty much these buttons by here, and you can assign them to each side, and you can assign them to each of the paddles. I would say that this feature is only really that useful in first-person shooters. Reason is you can hold your joypad like so. You go it up and down, and instead of taking your finger off the thumb and going on the A and B, you can basically just click these buttons down with your finger. What I found is the buttons are very sensitive. I'm finding it a little bit awkward to use, but I think they will take a little bit of time to get used to them. Once you got used to them, I can imagine they are quite useful actually, because they are in a very nice place where your fingers just click them. What I was doing, I was trying to use it, I was finding myself clicking these very lightly, and I was sort of thinking too much about how many sort of fingers I need to actually do things when I'm so used to taking my thumb off and clicking on the pad like that. It's a little bit awkward to sort of train your hands to do something very different to what you're normally used to. But that's a very nice feature nevertheless. With the D-pad as well, they've improved this D-pad a hell of a lot. The original pad, which I'll move this out of the way, the original Xbox, this is the one from the original Xbox One. I'm not overly fussed in this pad that much. I do think the sticks are very nice, and they do have a very nice grip along the edge of the stick, which is better than the PS4 one, because your finger doesn't slip off it. It's very nice, actually. I do like the grip, and the sticks are very nice. Buttons, they do the job. The only problem with this one is I've got this little extra bit by here, because it doesn't actually have a headphone socket on here. With the original Xbox pad, you do have to buy this extra, which is like 20 quid if you can find one, or there's a lot of knockoff ones. The S pad, which I don't have, that came with the Xbox S, is pretty much like this one. It automatically has the headphone jack in there, so you can use your headphones in it. But it's a bit of a shame with this pad. The one thing I really hate about this pad is this D-pad. It's clicky, and when I first clicked, I thought, oh, that feels quite nice. You can feel each click. This D-pad is awful. It is proper terrible. Sometimes you click to the left, and it'll go shoot across maybe twice, maybe 3 clicks. It's got like a weird ring on the inside, from what I can see, that's like spring loaded and keeps the D-pad up. And then there's actual proper single 4 buttons, up, down, left, and right underneath. Well, I don't think this ring does a particularly great job, and consequently, using this on anything 2D is terrible. You can't play any shoot 'em ups with it. You can't go through the menus with it properly. It's just pretty awful. This is a really big downfall on this pad. I think that this is a pretty awful piece of crap, to be honest. But the actual, the sticks itself and your vibrating buttons and this or that feel all quite nice. Like, they fit quite nice in your hand, as pretty much an Xbox 360 pad did. And, it feels alright. So we'll move this out of the way. But this thing does feel like a significant upgrade to the original pad. It's these sticks themselves. These are a lot nicer. They nicely flick back to the middle. They feel a lot more premium to use. They have a nice sort of knock when you actually get right to the edge, so you know exactly where you are on the edge. Same with this one. With the D-pad on this one, thankfully to say, I think they fixed everything that was wrong with the last D-pad. This D-pad is surprisingly actually very good. Once you get your head over the fact that you can actually feel lumpy buttons underneath it when you rotate it, it actually works perfectly well. It's pretty good in shoot 'em ups. It works really well in beat 'em ups. It runs nicely through the menus. It's quite a nice D-pad. It's not a perfect D-pad, but it's pretty damn good. So I got no complaints there, and that was a really nice upgrade with this joypad. How much better the D-pad actually is. I've noticed there's a little switch in the middle by here. This allows you to switch between profiles. In your Xbox One menu, when you plug this thing in, you get a profile menu. What you can do in there is you can have the default profiles, or you can go to the community and you can download profiles for games. There's not a huge amount of game profiles there. There's probably, I don't know, maybe about 16, something like that. But they're quite useful to try out. And you can assign these to either the first or the second slot. And you change the slots by literally, you can change it on the fly by just swapping this button by ear between 1 and 2. Or you can actually make your own profiles, which is quite useful because you can actually, thank God, you can actually dim this Xbox light. On the original pad, in the night playing, that Xbox light is so bad that I ended up getting like a clear black plastic. I don't know if you can see it on it. Clear black plastic and putting over it because it just glares at you in your face. But with this one, thankfully enough, you can actually dim this light, which is very, very nice. What you can do in the profiles then, you can swap all the buttons around. You can swap the buttons to these triggers at the bottom. You can pretty much mess around with lots of things. You can invert all the sticks. You can change the sensitivity on the sticks as well, including the dead zone and everything on them. And you can change the sensitivity of the rumble feature, the triggers. It's really cool, and there is a lot of community made stuff out there you can download, and you can assign to the slots for the games you're playing. What I noticed on Amazon as well, there's a lot of third-party ones that are doing a different button and different coloured rims. I don't know whether you can see inside there's like a black rim that goes around. Well, there's some third-party ones you can actually change the colour of the black rims. Unfortunately, that does involve opening the pad up and getting these rims out, but if you did want to customise it, it is possible. This is very nice. Like I said, it's covered in that rubberized plastic. All this is aluminium, including the D-pad as well. With the D-pad, you can pull this D-pad off. It's all magnetic, so it nicely clicks, as you can, and it's pretty strong, so it's not going to fall off. You pull that D-pad off, and you can put in your standard cross D-pad, which this D-pad works surprisingly well as well. But I find the actual circle pad is quite nice actually, so I've been using that on it, and this sort of pulls off again, and you can swap your D-pad back on the fly. The second thing you can do with this, guys, is you can actually pull the top of the stick off. These are magnetic as well, and these have got the rim round them, very nice. And I don't know whether you can see, if I put the one back on, the sort of like size of the stick. Well, when you take these off, in the box comes another set of sticks. These sticks are slightly longer than the original ones. Like, hopefully you can see that. You can use one or you can use two of them, and they just literally slot on, and then you end up with a pad with giant sticks. I'm not particularly overly fussed, especially on the movement one. It's pretty pointless. All this really does is give, where you would normally just move that much with the small stick, and then you'd be at your maximum. With this one, it gives you I don't know, twice the distance you have to move your thumb essentially. So I could see why some people use that on the aiming part, just to give you that bit of extra, I know, a bit more fine aiming, I suppose. But to be honest, I've got used to the normal sticks, so I don't really use them. But you know, the option's there if you want to use them, and a lot of people buy these extra size sticks as extras, and they swap around sticks. But you get all this in the box, which is quite nice. Also in the box, these are like a medium in between. You get ones with rounded tops on them. These are very, very shiny. They're not too bad, but I don't like the dome tops. I prefer the convexed tops like this. Convex or concaved? Concave tops like this. These rounded off ones, pretty much, I'm not fussed with them. It's like on the PS3, the original PS3 joypad. It just, your thumbs just fall off them. It's very annoying, and I ended up changing them on my PS3 pad. I say that's another joypad I don't particularly like at all. It's the PS3 pad. But you know, the options there. If you prefer the dome tops instead of the concave tops, it's up to you. But you can change them over. So we'll put the original ones back on. So they just clip on, and like I said, they don't fall off. They're on there pretty tight, to be honest. Underneath, then, you notice it's got a grippy, like I know, it's all rubber. This is basically, and it feels quite nice, and it's quite a nice grip on it. So your hands are not going to slide off it, and that's the other extra feature they did with this. So, all in all, I would say, compared to the original Xbox pad. Compared to the original Xbox pad, this Elite controller is a hell of a lot nicer. It is a very nice controller. So we'll put that to the side for a second, and I just want to show you this for the hell of it. Here's my PS4 pad, standard PS4 pad. I do have the extra rubber grips, which I've been using for a long time now on the top, because I do find that unfortunately your fingers do slip off the top of these quite a bit. But with this extra grip, they're fantastic. I never get a problem. I hate the PS3 pad. I'm not a fan of it at all, but the PS4 pad, I think they fixed all the problems with the PS3 pad. I really do like the PS4 pad. It's a very nice pad indeed. And, you know, just standard pad. The one thing I do like is the sticks are in the perfect position. There's no one hand sort of lower than the other hand type thing. It's, as you can see, your sticks are in exactly where your thumbs are. So ergonomically, I think this pad is a little bit better ergonomically. D-pad's always perfectly fine. It's not the best D-pad in the world, but it does the job. Same with the buttons and everything. But you can get modded Scuf do modded PS4 pads, which is this pad here. These pads are extremely expensive. This one was just over 200 quid. It's same sort of thing. It's quite similar to the Elite. They've changed out the buttons. As you can see, their own version of the buttons are blue. You can pick whatever colours you want. You got your little Scuf logo. You got your two buttons here and your touchpad. You've got the D-pad. Pretty much, I think they've ruined it. Your extra option is to have this rubber round circle on the top, which does absolutely nothing for the D-pad, to be honest. But this comes off, and they've got a different plastic D-pad in the middle with holes in it, which fit this on top. I personally think they've ruined the D-pad. It was a perfectly good D-pad. With this crap, you can buy extra to go on it. It's terrible. So if you are going to get a Scuf, don't buy the extra D-pad attachment, because it's a waste of money. But we'll clip that back in. The other thing they've done with this is the sticks. This bit's quite nice, actually. There's a blue ring around these sticks by here. You put a little tool in, you click it, and then the whole stick comes off. And you can just replace the sticks easy enough. And you can change heights and all that sort of thing. Same sort of thing you can do with the extra height, like with the extra parts in the Elite. The top of these sticks are nice and rubbery, but they do wear off pretty fast, and you will have to buy replacements at some point, which is a little bit of a shame. The other thing, you can choose your colour buttons as well there, and you can get extra trigger length things they can come with as an extra. And the other extra you get as well is these paddles. You get the paddle there and the Scuf there, and the paddle there. These are very plastic, as you can hear. They're very plastic, and they break. They don't last long. Once you start using them, they're in a reasonably comfortable position just to flick it with your finger. But eventually, over time, these will just snap off and break. That's the one thing I would say about the Scuf pads is you look around the internet and they all break. All these extra bits, all these pads break. Underneath this button by here, there's a little button which is what this actually clicks down and presses. Well, if you look around the internet, there's loads of people with broken buttons. I've taken this pad apart to have a look what's underneath it, and it's not actually a button. It's basically inside the plastic at the back by here. There's the little circuit board that goes over the top, and then just underneath the button there, laid into the plastic, is a little tiny metal square. It's tiny. It's probably about like 2.5mm by 2.5mm, tiny square. And it's convexed a bit, and when this pushes down, it flexes the metal square, which presses the contact pad actually on this little circuit board that goes underneath by here. Well, it's a pretty crap design, because these things break, and I have managed to get this one working, but it's not 100%. But there's literally no replacing it. There's not. It would be much better off there was actually a button underneath here. At least then you could actually change that button. You know, like the little green button, but there. If there was something like that underneath this, you know, you could yourself open up this and actually repair it. But as it goes, it just I'm not sure whether this little metal pad doesn't flex so well over time, but they break. And if you have a look around the internet, there's loads of people saying that their pad's broke and they can't fix it. So not overly fussed on the paddles. They're a bit of a cheap design, I think. I think they need to change their design on these and put a button underneath them. Find some way of actually putting a surface mount button, and then at least then that surface mount button can be replaced. The other thing, it is a very nice upgrade in this actually. It does cost quite a bit extra. Is the military grip paint on the grips here. You can see they've got the blue military grip paint. This is very nice actually. Feels lovely. Like I said, it's a bit of an expensive upgrade, but feels lovely, to be honest. And it gives you really nice grip. But overall, I don't like this Scuf pad. I think it's a bit crappy. Like I said, I hate the D-pad. It's rubbish what they've done to that. The sticks are nice though. The paddles break. Unfortunately, my sticks have broken. I've had to replace these. This is the second set of paddles on here, plus the actual button underneath this paddle is dodgy, and I've taken it apart. Like I said, that I don't think there is any way that can be fixed. Hence, you know, the only way to fix these is you send it back to Scuf and there's a charge and they will fix it. And I think they just pretty much put it in a new case or just put new bloody pieces of metal back inside it, the flexing, but there is a charge for that. The other thing that these have as well is they have trigger stops as well, and you literally just turn. I don't know if you can see these little things by here, and that gives you the trigger stops. Like I said, it's a cheap idea. Sorry, you put them like that. You turn them round this way. Sorry, so they go flat, and basically you click it in, and it trigger stops. It's a cheap idea, but it works. I had no problems with that at all. That actually works quite nice, and it is quite easy to flick them round. So that is the Scuf controller. I said this Scuf controller, I can't remember exactly how much it was, but it was just over 200 quid with all the extras, with the buttons. I had the extra long triggers, which are a bit crap. I got rid of them. Like I said, these have been replaced. The button underneath this is dodgy. This D-pad is a pile of crap. But the sticks are quite nice, and the paint is lovely. So these are the two modern consoles you get, and these are the two specialized expert pads you can actually get from. For the PS4, there is they're officially licensed Sony upgraded pads from Hori, and there's I think it's what are they called? I can't remember the name now, but there's two officially licensed upgraded gaming pads from Hori and Razer. That's it, and from Razer. I haven't tried them out, but they do look very much like the Xbox style of pad with the D-pad here. Sorry, the analog stick down and the other one up. I think after using the PS4 for so many years now, I think I prefer the PS4 style. I think with the sticks being where your thumbs are, it just seems a little bit more sense, and it seems a little bit more comfortable. And with the D-pad being up here, it's a bit easier to use. But I said that's not knocking the Xbox pad, because it does feel very nice nevertheless. But so if I'm going to review these pads, like I said, this pad literally cost like almost twice as much as this pad. I personally think in a lot of ways they've taken the original PS4 pad and they've ruined it. I literally just used my original PS4 pad after using this, because I don't particularly like this joypad very much. And, you know, just be a little bit warned when buying Scufs. Have a look around the internet and do an informed decision before you buy them. I know a lot of the streamers are using Scufs and they swear by them. That's because they're being sponsored by Scuf and they've been given Scuf joypads all the time. So they got used to them, and if anything breaks, they just get a new joypad off them. But with yourself paying, you know, 200 quid for one of these pads, I wouldn't recommend it at all, to be honest. I think you're better off in a lot of ways sticking with the original PS4 pad. It works perfectly well. Alright, you don't have the trigger stops, but you know, you can get around without them. And that's pretty much my joypad of choice basically these days. But yeah, Scuf, I wouldn't recommend. Like I say, be careful when you do buy one. As for the Elite pad, if you've got an original Xbox One pad, I would definitely recommend this pad. It's a very nice pad indeed. It's 120 quid, so it's not cheap, but if you do look around, you can sometimes get this for about 89 quid. And at 89 quid, considering another pad will cost you, a customized one with coloured ones will cost you 50, 60 quid. It's not too bad a deal. It is a hell of a lot nicer than the original pad. It does have a pretty nice D-pad. Like the aluminium, it feels a lot heavier as well, and it feels, you know, you do have the very nice options of the trigger stops. You can take them out if you want. You can turn the trigger stops off. You can put the paddles on. You've got the choice of the paddles. You can basically just take all that off and have one paddle if you wanted. So if you just wanted a paddle when you're doing this, you could choose the one paddle, and they are in comfortable positions. And it feels a lot nicer joypad, to be honest, and I would recommend it. A lot of people are saying this is the best joypad ever made. I would say definitely for an Xbox pad, from the original Xbox, that's definitely by hands down the best Xbox joypad they've ever made. I do like the original PS4 pad, mind. It's not as quite as premium as this, mind, but these days I think I do prefer the PlayStation pad, just because it just feels a little bit more comfortable. But you know, that's just personal preference at the end of the day. Let's say the PS4 pad isn't, you know, it's nowhere near the sort of quality of this one. The you know, the build quality of this one's a lot better than the PS4 pad. But then the PS4 pad's like 40-50 quid, so there you go, same as the Xbox. So I would definitely recommend the Elite joypad, and if you're really into your Xbox One gaming, and you know, especially if that's your main console, definitely pick up on those joypads. I don't think you'd be too upset about it, really, and it does make your games feel a lot nicer playing, so that's pretty cool. So then guys, that's the two joypads, two custom joypads you can get for your two modern consoles, the PS4 and the Xbox One. Like I said, I don't think I would recommend the Scuf. I personally don't like it very much, but I definitely recommend the Xbox Elite joypad. So guys, I hope you like this little joypad review. I know it's a little bit different to my usual stuff, but unfortunately I haven't had much time lately, because released an album with a band and I've been out gigging and stuff, so it's finding time to do some of these videos. I know it's not retro either, but it's, you know, a lot of us tend to have retro consoles and new and old and the new consoles. So there's my review of these two joypads. Make your own mind up, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. So bye now.